Hey guys, when people move out to Southeast Asia, it's often a dream. You think of financial freedom, simplicity, lower cost of living, maybe even a new relationship. But what happens if, let's say 5 years later, you suddenly change your mind? Or you later realize you made a mistake. You've sold everything. Maybe you've left a career, your home, you sold your home, you left your life behind, and now you want to go back. But for some of us, maybe you can't. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Stick around.
Southeast Asia calling me instead. Bangkok nights and Bali shores. Sick of dreaming, want something more. Pack your bags, don't hesitate. Gio, let's go before it's too late.
All right, so number one, first, why do people make the leap? You sell the car, you sell the house, everything that was tied to your old life you get rid of, right? You've gotten rid of everything. Most people usually sell their house, and you've got rid of the car, and even for people like me, you gave up your career, and all of a sudden you move out to Southeast Asia. You wanted peace, not pressure, and you wanted adventure, but not anxiety. And for a while it feels incredible. Beaches, freedom, no boss, no alarm clock. But the thing is, starting over is that sometimes you realize what you left behind wasn't all bad. So a lot of people, maybe you wanted to escape your old life, but maybe you didn't mean to erase it. Now, next part is what happens to a lot of foreigners. And there's different ways you can fix this, but it's when the honeymoon phase ends. Now, for me, the honeymoon phase for most expats, or at least to the point where they say, okay, I like it or I don't like it, is usually about 6 months of living in a particular place. Now, sometimes it can mean just moving to another city, another island if you're in the Philippines, or maybe another country within Southeast Asia. But, after a few years, the excitement fades. Typically around 3 to 5 years is when I see most expats burn out. You've seen the islands, you've seen the temples, you've seen the markets, you've seen the waterfalls, the beaches, you've done the scuba diving. Maybe your social circle shrinks, or people move away and you're back to having no friends again, or an isolated life. Or perhaps your relationship ends, you come out here for a girl, life is good for a while, the relationship ends, and now you start to really rethink things. Hey everyone, quick heads up. If you've been following my travels, staying safe online is a big deal, especially when I'm using Wi-Fi at airports, cafes, or even in remote parts in Southeast Asia. That's why I always use Surfshark VPN. And right now, it's Black Friday, which means up to 83% off, plus 3 extra months free. Huge saving. You can stream, browse, and protect all your devices no matter where you are. Seriously, don't wait. Tap on my link in the description, in the pinned comment, and lock in the deal and travel the web securely with Surfshark VPN. You also start thinking about the future. Health, aging, long-time security, and a lot of people start to think, okay, is this a good place really to live out the remainder of my life? And God forbid, what if something happens to me? Now, I'm talking about the Philippines for health, Thailand, Malaysia, even Vietnam, you're in a bit better of a situation. Now, the Philippines, you do have the support system, at least with a Filipina. If you find a good one, she's there to take care of you, but the medical isn't quite there. But, that's when the question hits is, did I make a mistake? Paradise doesn't feel like paradise when you stop feeling at home. Now, the hard reality of going back, it is not as simple as just buying a plane ticket and heading back home. It's not that simple. The amount of money it costs you to move out to Southeast Asia is very little in comparison to going back to the West and starting your life over. Now that is expensive, but coming out here to start a new life, God, you can do it on a couple $1,000s in reality. The plane ticket, the deposit for the new place, you're moving to a furnished place, maybe a grocery shopping and some towels and some sheets, and boom, you're good to go. Your life has started. But you're not going to move back to the US, or probably Europe or wherever, unless you have family there to help you out or to move into their house for a while. It's just not the same. So, going back isn't simple. You may have no property or assets left, no recent work history or a resume gap, a higher cost of living of when you initially left. When I go back to visit every year, I'm like, I notice. You don't maybe notice it as much when you're living there day after day after day, month after month, year after year. But when you're gone and you go back, you really do notice. And then suddenly returning feels harder than staying. You're caught between two worlds. Some feel stuck, too broke to go back, or too burned out to stay. And sometimes both of those occur. Usually, people end up moving out here and they become too broke. They had lived check by check in the US and they made it work. Maybe they scraped up enough money to buy that plane ticket and be able to get out here and make a deposit, put a deposit down and rent out a new place, and boom, all of a sudden they're living life better. They can eat out more, they can date more, they can do more extracurricular activities, but they're still check to check. You can always leave your country, but you can't always go back to the life you had. Sometimes that ship has sailed. Once you've come out here and you've been out here 3 to 5 years and you've already sold your house, your car, your possessions, you've left your job or whatever, you don't just go back and start your life again. That usually does not happen. So rebuilding after the realization. If you've realized this, then the good news is it's not over. You've learned adaptability, resilience, and how to live with less. So you do gain that. I've learned so much by living out here. I don't need all the stuff that I had before. I'm definitely more resilient. I'm more adaptable. I can adapt now wherever I go. I just transition right in. It's like no issue. And that skill set can actually help you rebuild, whether in Southeast Asia or back home. Now, again, you may come to the realization that this place is not for you in particular. It could be Bangkok, it could be the Philippines, it could be Vietnam, wherever. And again, it may just be that you need to change up the cities or change up the islands if you're in the Philippines, or do what I did and move out to a different country altogether. It doesn't mean you got to go back home. Many find new ways to move forward. Remote work, downside living, or moving to a different stable country. It could mean moving to Portugal or Albania or wherever. It's about kind of shifting from I've lost everything to I'm starting fresh again. So how do you cope emotionally? Well, it's normal to feel regret. I know there's a lot of people, especially on my last video that I did on the Philippines, the Death by 1,000 Cuts. A lot of people reached out to me. A lot of people commented about, hey, you know what, I feel the same way. I feel like I wish I could change things. I would like to go back home, or I'd like to go somewhere else. And so, listen, a lot of people reached out from that video. It was pretty amazing. But again, it's normal to feel regret, but don't let it define you. And honestly, most of us expats that live out here in Southeast Asia, listen, you've made a bold decision that most people don't have the guts to try, to be honest. The majority of people, I always say this, the majority of people who watch my channel and other vloggers' channels who live out somewhere else, out of the US or Europe or wherever, will never ever do it. They watch it, maybe they get a plan set, hey, I'll save up, I'll do this, I'll start chatting with a girl, but they never make the move. And really what I've learned is what matters is not what you left behind, but what you build next. Sometimes that means going home. Sometimes it means reinventing your version of home here, wherever that may be, Bangkok, wherever. Now for me, it came down to me going home more often, a couple times a year for longer periods, and it meant moving out of the Philippines to Bangkok. So maybe you didn't make a mistake. Maybe you just took the long way back to yourself. So guys, if you've been out in Southeast Asia for years and you're starting to question your choices, well, you're not alone. Thousands of expats have reached that crossroad. I talk to people all the time who come to that crossroad and say, did I really make the right decision? Is this place really where I want to be? Some rebuild, some return. some reinvent. The truth is life doesn't really give you a do-over, but it does give you a second chance if you're brave enough to start again. So guys, if this topic hit home for you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and check out my other videos on expat life here in Southeast Asia, on videos like cost of living, where to live, condo tours, and well, pretty much anything. And what it's really like starting over here in Southeast Asia. And guys, I will see you in the next video. Ciao.
Pack your bags, don't hesitate. Gio, let's go before it's too late. Time keeps slipping away from us. Keep living like this. Away from us, away from us. Gio, let's go.